Hi, welcome to the Hit Save on That podcast. I'm Wendy Rivera with Speak Bride, and this week we are diving into something that I think is so important, not just for brides, but for you in every relationship situation in your life. And that is that many times we can do something that makes us feel somehow more secure in the starting of a relationship. And this little thing that we do can be the thing that tanks the actual relationship. And that is this. We tend to like to put people in boxes. We like to feel like we know them really well and what they're going to do, and we know how this goes, and we've experienced this before. So as fast as we can, we try to find out what category to put them in. And I think it is one of the most dehumanizing things that you could ever do. So in this podcast, I'm going to dive into why I don't think that's a good approach and what is a good approach to empower you to get to know people as individuals and still have the ability to lead them and help them to make a decision that they need to make. So we don't want to reduce people down. We want to expand them out. But how does that not have you lose control of the situation and not be able to be the leader? Join us on the podcast. We're going to talk about it.
Okay, today I want to talk about a little bit together and focus in on the brides who are shopping a couple of years out. Those that are shopping very soon for a wedding date that seems so far out. It can be a frustration and a pain point for stylists everywhere, because they're like, why are they doing this? They're just elongating this process. They're all out of order because they could fall in love with the dress, but then they're not ready to purchase it because it's so far out timeline wise. And so whenever I hear that their wedding is in 2024, I immediately am like, oh, great gracious, I'm about to waste the next hour and a half. Or sometimes it can feel like I'm about to waste the next 3 hours. And then she's going to come back later, maybe, or maybe she's not. And I'm going to educate her well, and then she's going to go buy somewhere else, whatever it is. If you've experienced this, or if you're seeing this right now, that shoot it in the chat. Let me know that you're also kind of seeing this already as a trend where they're starting off shopping super early. Of course, the flip side of that coin is those that are shopping and have a very close wedding date. They've just decided, you know what, we're just going to do this and get this done with and get this wedding. We're not going to put it off anymore. We're just going to jump in and get married, and why wait, right? And so that can be frustrating as well. But I any of these timeline issues, I want us to stop for a second and think about this. Have you ever been telling a story to someone, and it's a really great story, and you relish every part of the story, and every detail to you is really important. And then as you're telling it, somebody butts in and assumes they know what the rest of the story is. I don't know if you've done this before or had this happen. Maybe you're the one doing it. Maybe this is the one happening to you. Maybe you're the one it's happening to, where they assume they know the end of the story. Y'all, this can even happen just in finishing sentences, where you're just talking and somebody just goes ahead and like dismisses what you're saying by acting like, yeah, I know what you're going to say. And they don't know what you're going to say. Like, they don't know what it was that you were actually going to say, and what they assumed you were going to say is not what you were going to say, right? It's a frustrating experience, right? And also, somebody who never lets you finish a story, never lets you finish a sentence, always either assumes they know what you're thinking or assumes they know what you're going to say. You're not real prone to want to share with that type of person, right? And are they open to hearing something new, or do they act like they know it all? I want to take that dynamic and kind of just superimpose it on what we can do with brides many times. And I want us to, on purpose, reel it back. I want us to go, I don't know her story. I don't know the details of why she's shopping for dresses now instead of, and she's getting married in 2 years, 3 years. I don't know what she's been through before she came here, and I don't know what her plans are with her wedding in 2 years. I don't know what the person who's got a short timeline. I don't know her story. I don't know her reasons, and I don't know what the magic will be of her story. And I need to know, want to know, yearn to know all of the details of all of the above, because I know an important fact. She's writing her story, and her story is unique. And I will refuse to put too much on the fact that, oh, I feel like there's a rash of brides purchasing for dresses that are in 2 years, or they're not purchasing, they're shopping for dresses when their wedding's in 2 years. I will on purpose not create a category in my mind. In fact, the only purpose for creating a category is to remind myself that they're all individuals, that it's not a one and done understanding of why they're doing it and all blah, 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 blah. It's just, see, there's a difference in studying people to understand them. There's a difference between doing that and then putting people all in a box. And this is something that we struggle with as human beings. We like boxes. They make sense to us. We can put people in this box. Oh, this person, this kind of person. This person, this kind of person. And in those boxes, we interpret everything that they do based on those boxes. And there's such a difference in the approach of studying people. And the way you do this, stylist, I want to give you an encouragement and a warning. Maybe some of you have done personality tests, personality, like types and all that type of stuff. Maybe you've done a test about your giftings. Maybe you've done a test about, whatever. There's all these tests going around. And there's some of them are so informative and super helpful, right? It's a helpful study to study human nature and to know, oh yeah, I can tell this is the thing, or I can tell this about myself. Oh yeah, that's so true about myself. And now, oh, that makes sense now about myself, or about my partner, about my friends, about my family. Those things make sense now, and they can help mitigate conflict, right? So they're super powerful and wonderful on one hand when you study it to use it to empower another. But if you study it and then put people in boxes and then act like you know everything they're going to do or think or say, or, oh, you're saying that because you're a thus and so personality type, or you're a this and that. Oh yeah, well, I'm going to figure out what type you are. Blah, blah, blah. It's not a study to understand, empower, and change who you are. It's a study to try to say you know all the things about all the peoples. Does that make sense? There's a major difference in studying to understand and studying to put into a box, to be able to feel like you've got a corner on what they're going to do and who they are. I personally don't like it. I don't like when someone tries to put me in a box. They try to sum me up in a short sentence. Do you feel the same? It's dehumanizing, it's devaluing in a way, instead of the opposite, where someone studies it to understand you and then celebrates and sees all the things and acts like they're able to discover more wonderful things about you because they've gotten just a little better peek into who you are, but that you're still an individual, even though you are in a personality type. You're still an individual and your story is not told. Guys, be careful about labels. Be careful about labels. I do not like being labeled. I remember some labels that were given to me when I was growing. It still stings when I think of those labels. I don't want to be those things at all, right? Like some of the labels that are put on you don't want to be them. I say all that to say, in a nutshell, let us remember as stylists that this bride is living her story. There's a past to it. There's thought processes that went into it. her actions to her are not something that can be predicted. They're not something that every bride has done or that a rash of brides is doing. She's an individual in her mind. She's walking her own journey. She's never walked any other bride's journey. So she doesn't know that there are other people who can do similar things. She has her own reasons for it. And the only way to empower her is not to generalize her, but to be more specific in what her story is. Celebrate it with open eyes so that you are acutely aware of the details she is living. And you say those details to her, and you embrace and celebrate the details of her story. And you tell her how strong and how smart and how savvy she is for doing what she's doing. And you tell her how it's perfect, right? That what she's doing is all the right things. Oh no, I'm going to sneeze. Uh-oh. Maybe not. Oh, there's a sneeze right there. Okay. Oh, shoot. Okay, wish it would just come. Maybe not. And you saying to her the details of her story, help them to come alive to her. And when that happens, does she feel less valued or more? More. Will she open up more to you, or will she shut down? More. Will she trust you less or more? More. All of the more is in the category of seeing the individual and telling the details of her story and being excited for the journey she's on, for the path she is walking, every step of it. The one who thinks, oh, I know this kind of bride. Oh, I know it. And she's going to be like this, and she's going to be like this, and blah, 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 blah. That person actually loses the ability to help the bride trust them more. They lose trust with the bride. The bride will not open up to them more. The bride will not see a unique path that she is walking with that kind of person. And therefore, the bride will not buy at any point from that person. Only if you stumble on some amazing dress when she comes back the third time or something like that. I don't know. But how do you empower the 2-year away bride? It's over here in this. It's the creativity that comes with seeing her as an individual, not as a group. Does this resonate with you? I want you to say this phrase to yourself. I don't know her story yet, but I'm going to help her write it. I don't know her story yet, but I'm going to help her write it. If you can take that phrase and put it up somewhere in your back office to remind you that no matter how many brides you work with, you don't know this next bride's story yet, but you're going to help her write it. Can you do that? And if you do that, you're over the rainbow of creativity out to empower another. You see the details, you work for the details, you celebrate the details. She is someone new to you that you cannot wait to meet. She is not someone you've dealt with before. She's new. Her story's her own, and she needs you to engage with her actual story in a story way with storyteller eyes, so that she can live it and verbalize it to the world around her. She's the one we are working to help express her story to the world. So if you put her in a box, you've lost the actual thing we're doing. You've lost the ability to help her express herself in this dress. Don't put her in a box.
Thanks so much for being here on the podcast. I hope there was something in there that made you go, oh my goodness, I can use that as I'm helping brides. In fact, a lot of our stylists who we do training with, they rewatch the training over and over and over again, and they come away with something new every time. So these podcasts will be the same. Watch them over and over and over again so that it sticks with you. You can't get it all in one sitting, but I hope it's both educational and inspirational for you, because what we do is help brides be empowered to have a moment in their life that they will never forget, and it's telling their love stories to the whole world. It is a bigger job than a lot of people realize of what we're doing. It's way more involved relationally. So this podcast is specifically designed to help you relationally in your life. That may mean you're acclimating to things differently in your relationships, and I hope so. I would love to hear the stories of how this podcast helps you. So comment or DM us, like and share it if it helps someone else in your team, maybe even just someone else in your life. There might be stories in there where you're like, this would be helpful. Definitely share it with them, and make sure you come every week and hear the podcast. We also have a training platform, if that's something that will help you even more. Come join our Speak Bride training platform, where we interact with these things every week with stylists from all over the world, and be empowered to do your job in a major way, because love needs to spread, and we get to be the ones that help it do that. So join us, and thanks again for listening to the podcast.